Hey, welcome to the Battle Brothers podcast. I am your host, Aaron. Joining me today is Mark Hurdle,
Yo,
Davis Fry, and the
Boy,
winner of War in the Berg, Blake Sawyer. How you doing, Blake?
good.
So, first things first, we're going to get into that. We're going to have a pretty big episode today. So, part one, I interviewed Derek, who won Maryland Open with Death Guard. So that'll be the first part. Then the second part, we're going to get into your win at War in the Berg, and then I actually won an RTT, guys. Mediocre, middle of the pack guy me won an RTT with the new World Eater. So I'm going to touch base on my games with that just because they're new. I know it's not impressive, but hey, 3-0 in an RTT that I haven't won, and I haven't won an RTT in like 6 years. So
hey,
it's
congrats, man.
yeah, man. And with the new World
Congrats.
Eaters, it was fun. Turns out, spoiler, hell roots are broken. Um, but anyway, so that's basically what we're gonna do it. Hobby corner. On my desk currently, I'm actually up here working in the hobby station now. I've got my World Eater Chaos Spawn trying to get this World Eater stuff painted. Davis, what are you painting over there? Some Emperor's Children.
Yeah, some flawless blades.
And Mark, what you got? Nothing, because
Nothing at the moment.
I don't know. These new rumors coming out, you may be taking Calgar out of your list.
I might be, or I might not be. It all depends. It all depends. I mean, I've been fine without Gilman before. It all depends if they nerf Oath or not.
I don't think they're going to nerf Oath, but I don't
Probably
think it
not.
nerfs your list. But I do think if the rumors are true, that it does nerf quite a bit of Space Marine stuff. Blake, you got anything on your hobby desk, or are you just rocking these knights?
I'm building a new knight, just
Okay.
without arms, because waiting for the new one to come out.
Yeah, the
And
new
then,
shield guy.
yeah, then I've been actually building and painting 150 Poxwalkers for some league fun.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Death Guard are fun always. Well, that's cool. So, as far as 40K news comes out, Space Wolves are coming out. I know my local shop just got some boxes in, and they were organizing them when I went by there earlier. Pretty much all of them are already spoken for. And then the new rules are coming out, the new mission decks. So that'll be interesting, kind of change the game up a little bit. So we'll take a break here, and I'm going to get into my interview with Derek, and then we'll be back. Part one, we're interviewing Derek. He took down the Maryland Open, which actually isn't too far from me, Derek. I live an hour away from there, but unfortunately I had a prior engagement. But good win there. Just doing a little research about you. You're number 8 in North America right now as the recording of this, and number 22 in the world for ITC, which is amazing. And you run a very successful platform, which most people know is 40K Dirtbags. So definitely appreciate you coming on our small town podcast over here.
Of course, man. You always got to start somewhere.
Yeah. So I guess starting off, I know you're a big name in the 40K community, but how did you get your start? And yeah, just go from there, like your history of 40K.
Yeah, so I actually started, I think when I was 12 or 13. And when I said start, I mean I walked into an Ally Hobbies, bought a 6-man box of Tyranids, went home, painted, and made up my own rules. So I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And then it got to college, where I walked into a game store and I saw that they were playing 40K, and that's when I learned it for the first time, like actually rules, and got really into it. I think in 5th edition, when Drago Wing or Drago Bomb was the thing with all the paladins and stuff.
Oh yeah, yep, I remember.
Then I took a hiatus. Then I took a hiatus for about 7, 8 years, maybe. Got into a game called War Machine, which was kind of like a tabletop game, but more millimeter measurements, using a chess clock every single time. And it was about assassination. Like if you can kill the character, you win. So it was really cool. Got really good at that, and then COVID hit. So once COVID hit, that game kind of died out a lot. So then got back into 40K when the new Grey Knight Codex came out, I think about 3 years ago. And that's what got me back into Ninth, which is where I started, and kind of just like got so absorbed into it because it changed so much for the better. All the rules were simplified. Codexes were smaller. Like it was just a really good transition back from 5th to 9th. And then just kind of like got really focused into it and saw that I could do some YouTube videos of battle reports and kind of teach people the basics. And that's when I started the YouTube and Patreon, and wouldn't keep doing what I was doing if it wasn't for the supporters over at Patreon.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, make sure you guys check out that Patreon too, because he puts out a heck of a lot of good content. I'm similar. I got in at fourth edition. I've been off and on since then. I think this is my favorite edition so far. It's just more streamlined. It's a lot more balanced. You don't have to play the hottest stuff to win. You are playing the newest hottest stuff though. So this was, I believe, the first tournament in this area that allowed the new Death Guard, the new World Eaters. And you jumped on that. And looking at your history for the year, you played Death Guard before, but you're a big Chaos guy. It looks like you got a lot of Chaos stuff. What made you gravitate towards the new Death Guard?
So when I got back into 40K, I was playing Grey Knights, which was like my main army. So back when I was 16, I had Grey Knights, I had Chaos, Space Marines, and then I had Death Guard. So I literally am just using what I've had since I was 16.
Right.
So when the Grey Knights Codex came out, we went for like that year of the Grey Knights, then Chaos Codex came out. So we went for that year of Chaos, and now that the Death Guard Codex came out, we're trying to follow the trend. So it's basically the third army I owned since I was 16. So I still have metal models, metal typists, metal
that's
Marines,
awesome.
stuff like that. Really, really tiny Rhino. So I kind of just picked armies that I have. I'm not really like a meta chaser per se. It's more of just like playing kind of shitty detachments and try and win with them, or prove that you can win with them, and going based off of like that. Like I'm really trying to run a Poxwalker in a GT, but it just so happens that the Death Guard came out and is actually pretty good. So I happen to have Death Guard, and that's kind of why we went with Death Guard.
Yeah, and I think I'm a World Eater. I switched to World Eaters actually right before the new book dropped, so I didn't even get to play the old index. I came from Marines, and I think there's a lot of naysayers, and I think Chaos got a pretty good glow up. Even the World Eaters, they want to say all this stuff. I mean, when I saw the Death Guard book, I was like, wow, this book's really good. And I played Death Guard back in, I think, 8th edition. I'm also not a meta chaser, and the cool thing about this edition is I don't think you have to. There is no meta chase. I mean, there's better lists and everything, but you can literally take anything, and if you're a good player, and that speaks a lot to you being a good player, is bringing that something a little different and winning it. And the East Coast, for the guys that listen on the West Coast, because we do have a few, the East Coast meta's tough. So it's tough to win games.
It's definitely the top meta, I think, in the United States.
It is, and Mark Hurdle's one of the hosts of our podcast, and I mean the guy won LBO with Death Watch. So I mean, and when you go to a GT here, you're playing against top 10 in the world players. So it's awesome that you're one of those, and you're not too far from me too, which is really neat. So
when you said you're in PA, I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, middle of the state, but I'm sure I'll meet up with you somewhere. I'm getting heavy into the tournament scene now. Not
nice.
nearly as good of a player. I did win my first RTT with World Eaters, so that was fun. Hoping to take them to, I think my next GT is Heart of War, which is also at Bazooka Games. So
good store.
Yeah, it is. It is a really nice store. So for the listeners, you did a good list explanation on 40K Dirtbags. So definitely check that out if you want to see what Derek ran, and a good explanation. But if you could just give us a brief overview of your list and I guess a synergy, just a brief synergy of how the list typically works for you.
Yeah, it's like I went over, I think it was like 45 minutes of going like unit by unit, what worked, what didn't work. Because I ran this list one time in a TTS game prior to the GT.
Wow.
So I really didn't have a lot of practice with it. More of like, hey, let's try and remember the new rules and the new data sheets, and let's just have fun. So if I went like 4-2 or 5-1, I would have been really happy. Happy to go 6-0 is awesome. The
It
list
is, yeah, especially with only
is
playing it one time. Because I know I was forgetting basic things like my blessings. Like, oh yeah, I have lethal hits. So the fact that
yeah.
you played this one time and one and
Well, yeah, I
Maryland Open had
played.
a lot of good players.
Oh yeah, it was crazy meta at that store. Um, I played Death Guard in 10th. Like I played it with the data sheets and stuff like that. So I knew Death Guard familiar. Like I really liked Death Guard. So the Victorum seemed like the most simple one to pick up and go to a GT with because it was basically the main detachment, right? Sticky objectives, pick a contagion, and just go. So it's crazy to me because like discussing resilience and all them, they talk about Morty like not being competitive, or they want him to be competitive and stuff like that. And there's not a lot of lists out there that have Mortarian in their list. Which me, I'm like, hey, I think Morty's a great tool to try and see if it's good in a GT setting. And me and Tyler, who are top whatever in the Northeast, we both brought Morty to the same GT with a very similar list. So I think this detachment is one of the best ones with Morty because it protects him and he can heal and sticky, so you can like have fewer units to make your objective sticky and go out and do something.
And
So
that just
the list is kind of built around Morty.
Yeah, and that just proves like the internet naysayers. Because looking at all the demon primarchs, I personally think Morty's the best. You know, I think they look at him for mainly a melee threat, and they're like, oh, but his buffs are crazy. And when that codex drops, I guess the new Magnus is pretty good. My buddy Angron just kind of he's sitting on the shelf looking at me right now. It just and I still
I
think he's
think
playable somehow. Someone Jack Harpster will probably break him and get that going. But I'm really excited about your list. I think it's not what I was picturing would have been a list I would have taken. So definitely looking forward to if you guys want to get a good in-depth analysis of that list, it, check out that video, and I'll link that in the description as well.
yeah, like the list is very few. When I was driving down to the GT, I was talking to my buddy who was driving with me, and I was like, I don't like my list. I'm coming from playing like Horde with like 100 bodies to like only dropping 8 drops during deployment, and all the 8 drops are like key models in the list. So it's like if I lose one of them, I'm kind of down 1/8 of my list. So how I deployed was very defensive, but set up for turn 1 secondaries like you always have to. But my turn 1 secondaries, I'm like, all right, I guess uh, this floated bloat drone is going to be standing over here in case I have to get a secondary. These poxwalkers have to deploy up. This other bloat drone can't come in from reserve because it has to do this secondary. Like you're deploying your key units, hoping that like you get a turn 1 secondary that you can do, which I wasn't really used to. And having the 10-man Plague Marines, like that's a huge part of your list. That's what 190 plus another 120 points. So you're looking at almost a 300-point unit that you have to do secondaries with,
Yeah,
or put in a
yeah,
position where you don't want to just give them up.
yeah,
And then
and
you have Morty, who's almost 400 points. Like it's crazy.
yeah, you got a lot of big point. Not a lot of units for a typical um Death Guard. I think so. You got 2 bloat drones. I think a lot of people are running more than that too, aren't they? All right, they got a really big glow up.
They're probably going to go up in points, but yeah, I was running 2 because that's all I can really put into my list. The list has everything you kind of need for each unit. For example, like I have the Demon Prince, which I think should be in every list, besides the Demon one. Just giving the free strat when you need it is huge. He's got a 5-up Field of Pain, so it's like a mini Morty. At the same time, it's 2-up, 4-up, toughness 12, 5-up Field of Pain.
Oh,
Like
he's a toughness
almost
12 in
unkillable.
Nurgle. Okay. Yeah.
D12, 2-up, 4-up, cover, and a 5-up Field of Pain in this attachment. So he rarely dies. and he gives everything within 6 inches of him cover, and he has lone op. So lone op 12. So if he's out like in the middle of nowhere, he's really hard to get shot down because of the lone op and T12. So he like starts my list every single time. Then you got obviously Morty. Morty I'm using mainly for the reactive move, fight on death if needed. But the reactive move in Death Guard is dumb. Because I also paired it with the Foul Blight spawn that you can advance or start an advance within 9 of him. So what I usually do is put my Plague Marines in the middle. They get out turn 1, put him like as far forward as possible. They can advance on or near the point in the center because the 9-inch bubble is pretty big. And then if they do happen to just move up within 9 of you, you can just react and move back into the Rhino with Morty. So they can't be charged basically. They have once per game fight first, which I never used, but that's another deterrent. So basically, this 10-man Plague Marine unit, the only way you're going to kill them is by shooting them. So you want to be super defensive and get their points back with them. They have the Foul Blight spawn, and a lot of people were running the Malignant Plaguecaster, but I really like the crit on 5s, and I wanted that combo with the 9-inch no charge. So those are the 2 characters I use. So most of the time, it's Spyless Putrefier and the Plaguecaster for the sustain 1, which is kind of busted.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But we were just testing out stuff, so we liked it, tested it, so I might keep that. Plus the 2 damage flamer is awesome. And then Typhus, not a lot of people have Typhus. I think Typhus is almost an auto included on my list, especially with secondaries and how slow our army is. You can still come out and do a secondary and just snipe something D6 mortal wounds away. With the amount of mortal wounds that this list has, kind of scary adding Typhus in there as well. So
Yeah, very character heavy
finish
list.
it off. Very character heavy. Yeah, finishing off with 2 Lord of Contagions. One with the Furnace, which is the dev, +1 strength, +1 attack, and then the other one critting on 5s with lethal and sustain. He's a little monster as well. And Lord of Contagions having enhancements almost double that enhancement cost, because when they die, they get back up and they can just keep the enhancement going.
That's awesome.
So,
yep.
You got the Plague Marines, 10-man with the Rhino. Chaos Spawn are freaking amazing in Death Guard. With the Scout move 6, helps get the Contagion out by turn 2 really easily. And great for turn 1 secondaries. 2 Death Crowd, 2 Blood Drones, and 2 by 10 Box Walker. And that's exactly 10,000 or 2,000.
Yeah, and looking at coming from World Eaters, I think the Chaos Spawn for us got to glow up too. I think you probably
They hit really hard.
The Demon Prince. I agree is key. That lone up, just putting him on the center objective and saying "Come at me, bro." And then you force them. It turns it into a control army, but you also have a lot of heavy hitters in this list. And I agree with you. I think Morty. I don't know what the internet's talking about where he's not that good because his buffs are just insane. Um, and he's not terribly fragile. I mean, he dies, but what doesn't? I mean, that's a big target. You either have to put everything into him or just ignore him, and it's tough to ignore when you have all those buffs coming at you.
The -1 damage is really what makes this detachment super good. -1 damage with Morty, and then if he's really low in wounds, you could potentially suck some wounds off of your opponent and heal back up 6. So
yeah. Wow.
auto explode, like everything kind of just points to Morty in this detachment. So everything you want to do with him, the enhancements or the strats help him out do that. And him exploding is just hilarious. Like when they actually commit everything onto him, he might have like 3 wounds left. You're like, hey, I'm not really gonna, -1 damage anymore because he's probably gonna die anyway. I'm just gonna say that's CP for the auto explode. And then when you auto explode, you do D6 to literally everything that tried to commit on him, and sometimes he kills as he goes down. So you could also fight on death and then auto explode, which is just crazy.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous. I wish that the games were streamed at Maryland Open because I would have been excited to watch you play this list. I'm
It
sure.
was the best one was Death Guard on Death Guard.
Yeah. Well, and that gets us into your pairing. So your round 1 was against Emperor's Children, which was also the new Emperor's Children. Well, I guess they've been out for a little while, but the new Emperor's Children, we'll call them, and they're pretty tough. And you gotta, I mean, all your scores were high, but you got a 99 against Emperor's Children. Kind of walk us through that game a little bit.
the game was super fun. Awesome fun, another dirtbag, and the one game I had going into the GT was against Emperor's Children, a very similar list. So the only test game I had was the first game that I played. So I kind of knew what to look out for, what to go after, what to ignore, and it just kind of like the no advancing guy in the center against Emperor's Children is kind of like cheating. You can't advance anywhere near me with the blood spawn or blight spawn.
Yeah, and I mean that's just such a good tool that you threw in there, and people, because we have a lot of people locally that are just getting in the competitive scene, building an all around list, being prepared for anything. There's a lot of things that need to advance, and the fact that
Yeah,
you have a
like
tool for
world
that
leaders,
is,
custodians,
yeah, and you don't
yeah,
really have to
demons.
do anything. You don't have to sacrifice like a scout unit or something like that. You just got him, and it's an aura. You know,
Yep.
that's insane. I'm liking this energy. Um,
Yeah.
so you took him down.
So that yeah, that was again, it kind of like knew going into it what to do. So that was definitely a good game
Yeah, a
to
lot of our
start with.
guys with the Battle Brothers play Emperor's Children, and I've played into them, and I kind of learn what they do. They're just what they do it very well. So
Yeah.
they're not easy by any means, but you have definitely have a good tool in there to kind of prevent that. So round two, you go into Chaos Demons.
So I play obviously Shadow Legion. I played at the last DT, and the guy who I was playing, also a dirtbag, um, he was running a very similar list that I won with. So just knowing what I don't want to see or go against, playing that list, I kind of knew what to do against that list as well. If I could just like one shot and focus down the ACDC brick that he brought, the Bloodthirster was having a conniption because he couldn't advance within 9 of my Blight Spawn in the center. So basically, his speed 12 not being able to advance with his auto advance and charge ability kind of threw, threw him for a loop. And then when he did get within 9, like he just moved up 12, I just moved back 5. So he wasn't able to ever charge me. When he did charge me, I countered with, like he charged my one Death Shroud, I countered with my other Death Shroud. So I rapided my second Death Shroud down behind the original Death Shroud. So when he charged in, I countered him, and there was like no way he was going to kill 6 Death Shroud with 2 Lord of Contagions. So he was staying down on the table, which is the only way to really beat the Bloodthirster, to keep him on the table. So once I got him on the table, then I committed really everything the next turn. Killed him, killed ACDC, and then killed Bellicor, and kind of just like, won the game from there.
And honestly, I think that I haven't played that list, but it seems like such a fun list to play, like the uppy downy bloodthirster and stuff like that. And I mean,
Oh, it's so good.
well, it's nice that you knew, because I haven't played against it. I haven't played against that particular one yet. But it just seems like I was looking at playing them before I switched to World Eaters. But the fact that you knew what to do against it, that's part of the game, right? Knowing what to do against an opponent, and you took him down, and that brings us into round 3, which you played into Sisters.
This is against Jeff, who's literally like the number 1 sister player in the world. He won, GTs, places high all the time. So I knew it was going to be a really tough game, but I was confident going into it because it was Purge the Foe. And playing Chaos Cult for a year straight, which Purge the Foe was my worst mission, so I had so much practice with Purge the Foe. Like if I can get by Purge the Foe, I could win the GT like pretty easily with Chaos Cult. So knowing all the practice games I had with Purge the Foe, we knew kind of like what we wanted to do going into it. So deployment, turn 1, all that stuff is huge. And I thought I had a huge advantage because playing Death Guard, it's going to be really tough to kill an entire unit, right? So we started off strong. We got a kill turn 1. He didn't because I went second. Going second is awesome, also for Purge the Foe. So we got a kill turn 1. We were basically beating him with kills rather than hold more. So as long as I could tie him with the objectives or not give him hold more, I could potentially win based off of the kill count. So going second, you can see how many kills, and then if he has like 1 or 2 kills, you just need 2+ to tie or win, which is all we were focused on. It got to a point in the game where not knowing the one strat about like shooting something and then being able to shoot you back with Vol's unit, which is insane. They get 4 rotate wound back if you kill one of their Walker chicks. So I kill one of the Walker chicks, and then he shoots all the shit back at my unit, which was my Plague Marine unit. So that's Plague Marines and then 2 characters. It's 3 kills just with 1 unit. So he kills all 3 and basically pushes his kill count up to like 4, which it was only at 1. So that almost lost me the game right there because I gave him way more kills than he should have for free, at that point. But in the end, on turn 4, we were only down by like 2 or 3 points. So it was a close game the entire time. And then wound up being like a 3-point game at the end, or like a 10-point game at the end with running out of clock, I think on turn 5 or something.
Yeah, and that just goes to what we were talking about at the beginning, where pretty much anybody can do well, because Sisters aren't the best army. But when you have the top Sisters player playing Sisters, then it becomes a very big challenge. And I think looking at your scores, this looks like this was your closest game.
Uh,
Would you say this was your hardest matchup you had?
I would say this was my toughest matchup, yeah.
Okay.
This and the Death Guard. But at one point, once the Death Guard like swung, the Purge the Foe was definitely my hardest game.
Okay. So, and that brings us into round 4. You played into Thousand Suns.
Yeah, and this was prior to the new Codex. So I think the older Codex has a tough time, but also an easy time depending on the player going into Death Guard because we don't have any mortal wound saves. So it's like if you could just mortal wound me to death or dev wound or whatever, like you'll definitely be able to murder me. I won this game just because I committed everything on turn 2. And I just went after his characters. So obviously with T-Suns, if you kill his characters, you basically win the game. Like ignore Magnus, kill all the little psychers around the table. I got some key charges off with my Plague Marines and Death Shroud combo. So he would use his cultist to block off his units. So I would come down within 6 with my Death Shroud, charge the cultist with them, and then charge the cultist with the Plague Marines. But I went right in front of his Marine unit. So when the Death Shroud one-shot at the cultists now weren't there anymore, so then you can pile into the unit right behind them. As long as they're within like 4 inches, which we were. And then the Plague Marines are able to finish off the Marine unit right after that. So you kind of combine the Death Shroud and the Marines, or Morty on the other side, which is what I did, to kind of go through the screens and then pile into the other unit and kill what you want to actually kill.
So did he?
So in one turn we killed.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so like in one turn we came down almost everything. We killed 1, 2 Marine units with their characters. We killed the characters solo, and we killed I think 3 Zangors on disc. And we held them to I think a 5-pointer for primary. So we killed a ton.
Wow.
And stopped his primary to a 5. And then at that point, he only has Magnus, a Vortex Beast, 1 character unit, and Ahriman. And I think Zangor. But like at that point, that's not enough to kill Morty, Demon Prince, floated blow drones, and 2 Death Shroud units like on the points. So I think against these Suns, you just full commit and kill all his characters, and then it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, which is usually my problem going into Thousand Suns is I always want to focus on Magnus just because he's there. And I was gonna ask you that question. Did people typically ignore your Morty?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the right play. I mean, it sucks. You can either overcommit on a big Primarch or kill everything else. And I mean that's what you gotta do against Thousand Suns. And I'm curious to see what the new book. I've seen a couple videos on it, but I'm curious to see how that changes up the meta a little bit. But definitely a
They're
good
very
win.
silly.
Yeah, I still think
Like
Thousand
they just
Suns
point at
old
something
was
and it
tough.
dies.
Yeah, definitely. And with
Yeah.
the blessings and everything, or the psychic powers that they have now, it's going to be interesting. So that brings us into round 5, which is your Death Guard game.
This game was nuts. we're just guessing, like, all right, when is this Death Guard, like, mirror match going to happen? And happen to be, like, two of the top players with a very similar list, both running Mortarion. So it was super fun for me, super fun for him, just kind of, like, putting the models down and, like, testing each other, using the same rules, same, combo, stuff like that. So we both deployed almost mirror-like, and then I went first against him, moved up everything, committed, like, my 10-man Plague Marines, my Demon Prince, my Spawn, like, basically just threw everything at him to try and kill his Demon Prince. Because if I can kill his Demon Prince before he kills mine, I think it's going to be a good, like, start. Well, in the end, he makes all of his saves. After charging my Demon Prince, shooting the full Plague Marine unit and the Spawn, I did 1 wound to him in the entire fucking phase. Shooting and fight.
And
So that was bad.
And he actually got second place in the tournament.
Yeah. He, I was the only loss, and then he went 5-1. So
Yeah.
he's, again, really good player. He won his golden ticket at the last GT we were at, and I think he came in like 4th place there.
Was this your golden ticket event, or you had one prior to this?
So I had the golden ticket from last year's Worlds, because if you place top 16, they give you a golden ticket for free, which is awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah.
I got my first gold. Yeah, so I went into this season like a lot less, stressed because you already have one. So the fight for all timers is the first one. I was second place, won a golden ticket, but already had it, so they went to Tyler. So Tyler actually won a golden ticket there. And this one I also won a golden ticket because I was 6-0, but then got passed down to 4th place. So they just kind of like keep passing it down if you have golden tickets already.
Okay, yeah, I was at the Battle in Alzheimer's. That was a very good event.
Yeah,
that was cool.
that was
Hey,
fun.
I'm hoping one day I get that good. Like that's my ultimate goal. I'm a mediocre player. If I get top 50%, I'm happy. So definitely looking up to you guys for inspiration to do that. So you took down the Death Guard.
It's like core rules and just knowing your army on the back of your hand. That's all we teach really at the Dirtbag Nation is like just master the core rules, read the core rule book, know like the actual piling, consolidate, like where you can go, how far. Like you basically are playing the best you play, as well as holding other people to the best way to play.
Yeah,
so
and
if people are like piling in the wrong direction or consolidating the wrong way, it's like you have to call them out on it and tell them like the right way to do it, because they could be not knowing that they're having an advantage over you by playing the wrong rules.
Yeah, and I've noticed that because I'm just getting back into 40K after probably a 3-year hiatus. Last year, middle of last year is when I kind of got back into it. I think my first tournament was in like September. Like I haven't been back and seen that long, and I've noticed that as I play and learning the rules, I'm getting better. And then I decided to switch from. I was playing Space Marines. I was playing Mark Hurdle's list because it was easy to put together. But then I decided to kind of be a faction special with these World Eaters and just learning them. I completely understand where you guys are coming from. Knowing your army just makes those tougher matchups that much easier, and the easier matchups even easier.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Your final matchup, no surprise here, Space Marines. Actually different. They were playing Salamanders, which I don't really see that much.
That's what was so fun about it, is like the one Salamander player going 5-0 to the top table. It was awesome. Dude was really cool. Another dirtbag. And I played Space Marines but never played Salamanders. So like not knowing what to expect, like flamers everywhere. But Strength 5 flamers going to T7 bodies or T6 or T7 bodies, I was like, all right, well, if I could, like, I picked the -1 to their armor save in this game because they're going to hit on everything basically with Oath. So if I can kill them faster, that was going to be my game plan. He committed his entire army on turn, I think 1. He committed a lot of his army because he had, top of 2 because he went first. He committed a lot of his army on turn 2 to kill my 10-man Plague Marine unit. I left Morty and my Demon Prince back. He committed a lot of his melt guys to come out and kill the Plague Marines. So then once he committed his whole army, I brought down everything bottom of 2 and just did the same thing I did to the T-Sun, is like just cripple enough of the units that can kill me back, like with all the meltas. Like if I kill all the meltas, nothing's touching Morty. So I don't have to be fearful anymore. So if I kill all the meltas, which I did the same pile-in move, you charge 2 units into 1, you kill one with 1, you pile into the other, kill that unit. We did that a ton with the Death Shroud and Morty and the Plague Marine, or the Demon Prince. So once I committed everything, he then had one more turn to come back and see what he can do, which it just wasn't enough. Like, he didn't kill Morty. He killed maybe 2 or 3 Death Shrouds. He did kill the Plague Marines on turn 2 with the Meltas, but again, I sacrificed those guys for the rest of his army. So once he presented his army out of his transports, I was able to commit the Death Shroud, not having to kill all the transports, and then just kill all the Marines. So that was his first time playing Death Guard. So kind of saw what they could do, and that was just a tough matchup for him.
Yeah. I was gonna say that is a very tough match. I mean, I'm astounded that it's cool that Salamanders was that. You just don't see. I played Salamanders back in 4th edition when they were kind of broken with Thunderhammer Storm Shields coming out of Land Raiders. But yeah, when I was looking at his list, I was like, okay, because you see Space Marines, you expect to see Gilliman, Calgar, and then whatever else, usually Ballistas and Vindicators. And when I clicked on it and saw Salamanders, I was like, okay, that's not what I would have picked at the top table. But I know your team is just stacked with a lot of good players. So I mean, they could take probably a shit sandwich and and win something. Um, well,
So
yep,
that list was just MSU, like definition of MSU everywhere. So it was really good, and that's probably why I did really well in the secondary game. And it can also kill any tank on the table.
Well, and I've looked at running the Infernus and Impulsors with the Fire deck because it does make them more survivable. Like I think there's a lot. Into you, it's not a good matchup just because like you said, you're high toughness. But I mean it's like I wish this tournament was streamed because there's a lot of cool lists there that were new, and I think it was the first tournament that allowed the new Death Guard and World Eater rules.
Yeah.
I really wish that it was streamed, and hopefully next year it will be. Hopefully next year I'll be there too. I had a prior engagement this year. I know JC Watts, which is a good friend of mine, was up there, um, and he said he had a great time. Well, I know you have to get back to work, and I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to give us this interview. I guess if you want to leave, can you leave us with any advice you would have to new competitive players that are just looking to, or just guys that are looking to up their game a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the best attachment to start with Death Guard and really just learn the rules about Death Guard. There's a lot of niche things with Death Guard's new book. Like you have the vehicle detachment, the zombie detachment, the Plague Marine detachment, the Terminator attachment, and then you have this one, which is like has everything in one. So it really lets you play what you think is cool, and then just kind of put it on the table and start playing. So this is definitely the best attachment to start learning Death Guard with. And a lot of the stuff you bring in this list, you can use in other lists as well. So you're not like just buying specifically zombies just to play in the one detachment. You're playing like 2 of each unit and putting it into one list. So this is definitely a good starting point for Death Guard. How this list works, I think you commit everything when they commit to give you the points. For example, when they bring up a big death kill a unit or they put all their guys on the points, like if I bring down my Death Shroud and I only kill 50 to 100 points worth, I'm probably going to lose because I didn't get my points back. But when they commit, for example, the Salamanders, he committed all of his multi-meltas, his characters, like everything. That's when I'm like, all right, now it's go turn. Now Death Shroud come down, charge in. I commit Morty, I commit the Demon Prince, and now they have so many tanky units to choose from that they're most likely going to make a bad decision or commit too much or not commit enough, and now all of your guys are still live, about to go into round 2. So that's kind of the way I ran this list, is the Death Shroud are in reserves. Typhus was in reserves. If I could put one Bloat Drone in reserves, I would. And then start by playing the secondary game. on turn 1, turn 2, that's all you're trying to do is get as much secondary as you possibly can. Then by turn 2 and turn 3, that's when the game starts when the Death Shroud come down. That's
Yeah.
probably the easiest, best way to play this detective.
And I want to, before you go, I want to touch base on what you said because I think it's important, especially for new players just getting into the game or just starting a faction. And I found that with starting the World Eaters is pick a detachment where you can use everything. So that way
Yeah.
you spend all your time painting them, but then you can play them in other detachments. For example, World Eaters, I'm starting with Berserker Warband, even though the Demonkin detachment is probably better because I'll be able to play those in any detachment where the Demonkin I can't. So I think that is something that a lot of players don't. They just want to play the best thing, and that's not always the best choice for starting an army. The best thing is to get models painted that you can then, you're not spending all your free time painting. You have more time to play. Because I know back in the day, and you know this being an old player, is the rules would change so much, and you're sitting there painting the day before a tournament just to try to get ready because you don't have the models painted. And I think that's a lot of issues with meta chasing is you're constantly painting and painting and painting, and it's hard for mediocre players like myself to get better because you're just not getting the reps in. Well,
Yeah.
Derek,
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking your time out today. Everybody, check out 40K Dirtbags. They make a ton of good content. Join their Patreon. I'm actually going to join as soon as I get off of here, just because I do like the content you guys push out. And I'm hoping that you and I get to play in a game. Hopefully, I'll see you at Heart of War if you're heading into that one.
We'll be at ACO next, and then Nova, and then what else is after Nova? A couple smaller GTs, but I'll keep looking out for Maryland. They run awesome GTs.
Yep. So Maryland has Heart of War coming up in July 26th, I believe. I'm definitely going to that, but I know Mark's going up to Atlantic City, so you'll see him up there. I will see you at Nova then, and I'll make sure to come by and buy you a beer.
Awesome. Appreciate
Hey,
that.
thanks for everything, man. And we're back. Blake, looking at your history of ITC scoring, you've taken down, you've come in some good places at some tournaments. I mean, Richmond Open, I think you came in 5th, which is no easy feat. You managed to win War in the Berg, which also had a lot of great players there. Mark Hurdle was there, and we know he's good. But looking at the roster, it wasn't a baby seal tournament. There was a lot of. I wish I could have gone. Honestly, I was supposed to. But tell us, how did you get into 40K? Like most of us start out young. Was that your case, or how'd you get into 40K? And then how did you? Because looking at your ITC, you've been rocking these Imperial Knights. What got you into Imperial Knights?
So I started playing right when Pariah Nexus came out. One of my friends was trying to get me into the game because I'd never heard of it, and he actually gave me the Knight Army for free as my first army. So, and ever since then, he was just like, build and paint these knights. You can play with me, and I just started playing casually. And it was a tournament in North Carolina, a teams tournament where our local team had a guy drop. I volunteered, and ever since then, I've just been playing in tournaments.
So you've been playing less than a year. Well, about a year.
Yeah,
And
roughly a year.
you've already knocked out a GT win and some impressive placings, man. Did you have any experience with other tabletop games before this?
I had played Age of Sigmar the year before.
Okay, well, but I mean, most of us. I mean, I've been playing 20 plus years, and I don't think I've ever won a GT. So that's pretty darn impressive, dude. That's awesome, man.
Thanks.
So before we get into your individual games and try to just recall the best you can, I know I always forget what happens in a lot of the games, and I'll try to remind you who you played, but kind of go over, if you can, the list you took and kind of the synergy behind it, like, how it works together and how you typically play it.
Well, so my list is 5 Helverns, 6 Warglaves, Canis Rex, and then a little squad of Inquisitorial agents. The Inquisitorial agents always just sit on my home objective and hang out. I actually have liked the little armatures. It's just a lot of T10 bodies. It's really hard for armies to kill because, like, if I can kill their anti-tank unit, they usually have 1 to 3 units. then they have a hard time killing the rest. That and the more knights you take, the more rerolls you get. So, like with that list, I get 24 rerolls in my shooting phase. So I just try to get as much damage on the table as I can.
Yeah, and I've
Because
seen a lot of the Knights players taking a lot of sisters. It looks like the only smaller units you took were the Inquisitorial agents. So changing up the flavor a little bit.
the first time I played Mark, I actually was playing Brian Jones lists with the 2 big knights and a bunch of sisters. I found that hard to play against good players.
Yeah, and that's usually what happens. I know when I'm making a list, I usually think all this stuff's gonna work, and then Mark, being a buddy of mine's like, "Yeah, that'll work, except against me." And then I'm like, "Well, if it won't work against Mark, it probably won't work against anybody."
Yeah.
No, I haven't played him with the new World Eaters, but I mean, my list would probably do okay. But Mark's just a good player, and spoiler alert, I think you played Mark in this tournament. And we'll get into that. And I'd like to hear your side on that game too, Mark, since you're obviously here. So going into round one, you played Michael Armstrong. He was playing World Eaters, which I'm assuming were the old World Eaters. I don't No, the new World Eaters were.
They were
Yeah.
live.
Okay. All right. I'm just opening his list, and we're not going to go over everybody's list, but okay, Lord on Jug, 2 units of Corn Berserkers, which they do kill pretty much everything they hit in the game, but they're very squishy. Okay, he's running a typical list that you don't see, so the Land Raider and stuff like that. Walk us first time going into World Eaters, and honestly, as a guy that's kind of working on becoming a faction specialist for these World Eaters, I do think the matchup against you is tough. Honestly, the only thing I'm worried about with my current World Eaters list is going into Knights and Land Raiders and stuff like that. You won this game 86-66, which that's a lot of points for you.
Yep.
How did this game go? Did you find any challenges with it, or was it kind of you just steamrolled through them?
Well, I guess the only challenges was I kept forgetting that they could blood surge into me when I shot them.
Yeah.
So I made a mistake a couple times on like order of shooting. So
Yeah, but other
than that, like I picked up the Forge Fiends pretty easily, and then I was able to pick up the Land Raider pretty easily.
and honestly, I think the
That
Land Raider's the
that and
only
I
thing
think
that
it
really
was
affects it.
I think it was Stalwart's first round, so that's probably why I scored so many points.
Okay, but
Because you can like shoot in action with all the armigers.
that is true. I forget their battle line. So yeah, the World Eater, and I think that's a hard matchup for him. Not taken away from your win at all, but that's probably a good first match to get, but also nerve wracking because you're playing an army that's new. So I know Davis and I played a practice game, and at the RTT, I kept forgetting to do half my rules anyways. So not that I could
Yep.
have, I lost against Davis in our practice game, but I just kept forgetting little things. So great win there, man. Then round 2, you go on. Okay, Knights on Knights action. You're playing Chaos Knights this one, which I do think that the Imperial Knights are stronger than the Chaos Knights. Some people would disagree with me. But you won this game 93 to 54, so it was no. It's not like you had a lot of trouble with this one. Kind of walk us through that game a little bit.
In that game, I mean, so both of our lists, we both had 11 armigers. So automatically, I had an advantage because not only did we have the same amount of armigers, I had Canis Rex.
And he just, what was he running?
And I think he had some Nurglings and maybe
Okay.
like a Beast of Nurgle, I think.
And
So
I think that's the way
that
you play it, man.
automatically, yeah. He threw out the melee knights first and hit all the rest of them. So like he would throw out 1 or 2 knights at me, and I would just throw my whole army up. So then I would have my whole army shooting his knights, and then he just fed me a couple per turn.
Yeah,
And then he just wasn't able to kill because he wouldn't bring out enough at a time. That and if I hand him 12 damage, he dies. If he hands me 12 damage, I live on 1 to 3 because of the
Right.
feel no pain.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a big knight that's comparable to the Rex. I know Rush, one of our battle brothers, he's been playing Imperial Knights and he likes running all the little dogs, or in Chaos Knights, he's been running all the little dogs. And I think your list with the Kane, I agree. I think that's it's an even matchup until you throw the big knight into the mix, and you can either ignore the big knight or I don't know. That's another good game. That I think, yeah, that matchup's a tough one for him. Um, okay, round three, you got to play into the new Death Guard, which
Yep.
okay. Oh, you played Justin. Okay, you got 87 points on that. Walk us through that game a little bit. I know the new Death Guard are pretty tough, but maybe not tough enough.
Well, I think people overhyped the Death Routes a little bit.
Okay.
And that really came into play because he thought he would pick up a knight per Death Route unit, and that just didn't happen for him at all. I was able to kill all 2 of his Blight Launcher drones, the first or second turn, and then the other one died to an explosion from a Plague Burst Crawler. And then his Terminators just couldn't kill the Knights very easily. It would take 2, sometimes 3 rounds to kill one. And then by that point, I was able to shoot them or charge them with something else.
Yeah, and I think I tend to, when I'm playing, I tend to underestimate what a unit can do, so I overcommit, and sometimes that's a little better than putting all your eggs in one basket because the death shrouds do hit hard. But if you're not killing, I mean, you may need to just charge with 2 of them, or 3
That
of
and
them.
he did double charge when then he would split attacks like Lord of Contagion to one and then the 3 to the other, and then he just wouldn't kill.
Yeah, and that's I know when I play practice games with like Mark or Davis, because that's primarily who I played. They'll be like, "Oh, you can split attacks." I was like, "I'm not splitting attacks because I know what happens if I split attacks. If I split attacks, if I'm playing with Gilliman or whoever, his attacks are going to whiff on the thing I need to kill. So I just put all those eggs in one basket. Yeah, I may not kill both units, but it's better than whiffing. Yeah, so that was a great win by you, 87 to 25.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive. Um, round 4 was probably the easiest game you had. That was against Mark Hurdle. And he is, if the internet doesn't know who he is, he's probably the worst player in 40K.
Oh, at least in this group. At least in this of the 4 people here.
Hey, I won an RTT last week, and what did you win, Mark?
I didn't win anything last weekend.
No, Mark is clearly a good player. Everybody knows I'm being facetious. And usually, Mark, you do pretty well against these Imperial Knights.
Well, I do better against Chaos Knights. Imperial Knights, they have a great profile to me because they have a stratagem for pushing to strength plus an AP. So they can be AP 5, strength 13 against my Land Raiders. And then they get a reroll a hit and a wound roll. So, like, Smoke doesn't really help me. Armor Contempt doesn't really help me. It only helps me against 1. So it's just like, they have a great profile to just kill my Land Raiders.
Oh, well, that is fair. And then you were probably super aggressive, wasn't he, Blake? He was up in your face, and I think he
Yep.
had to be. I think he had to be. I mean, I'm not
I went
obviously I'm
first,
not trying to be a.
unfortunately.
Oh, that's a bummer. I'm not trying to be a tactician over Mark because Mark's clearly a better player than I am. But you got to be aggressive against those knights. I guess
My
Blake,
mistake
if
was
you
getting Gilman too close.
okay, Blake, if you can kind of walk me through this game, and then I'll have Mark kind of piggyback on it and what Mark thinks he could have done differently, or because I mean that's you've been playing. I've never beaten Mark in a practice game, and you've been playing less than a year, and you beat Mark. Yeah, kind of walk us through that game, Blake.
So I think would help me a lot is like we were on layout 4 instead of layout 1, and then him going first. I think he just happened to whiff on his first turn, like in the shooting, because he left his first Oath Amendment at 3 wounds, and then I think he picked up maybe 1 or 2 other knights after that. when he was expecting probably to pick up 4 or 5.
Yeah, what was your
I was
first O
expecting to
target?
kill. I was expecting to kill 3 in shooting.
Yeah.
Well, I was expecting to kill 2 in shooting. I only killed 1. Brought one down to 3 wounds. Then didn't kill it in Overwatch either. When he moved it up, and then he was able to get really close and shoot Gilman and charge Land River with Canis, and it was downhill from there.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I was able to pick up Calgar and Friends turn 1 and a Land Raider.
What did you
And
use to
then
pick up Calgar with? Was it just Canis?
my whole army.
Okay, I was about to say like
Yeah.
he's not easy to. I roll out when I'm making a list with World Eaters. I roll out against Calgar's unit just to see what it would do, and I mean, to be honest though, a Berserker squad with Karn can whittle him down and sometimes take him out. But there, I mean, that's 80 or 40 some 50 some attack. Like the fact that so you just played a good game against Mark then. Like you knew what you had to take care of. Mark, you're I'm assuming your first oath moment was on a baby night, or did you put it on a Rex?
Yeah, Baby Knight.
Yeah.
Canis was beyond the building.
And you didn't kill him at Overwatch. Sometimes that's luck of the dice.
Yep.
Sometimes that's just, but you always have to factor for that. That's a good win, Blake. Like yeah, you won a GT, but the fact you beat Mark, man, I'd hold that. I'd make a little trophy just for beating Mark, because I mean, when I was looking at it, he was my favorite to win. He's
Oh
just.
yeah, I had people come up and they were like, "Where'd Mark go? Like he's supposed to be at the finals table."
I probably would
And
have
I
said the same thing.
had a couple people. They were like, "Oh, we didn't think you were gonna win." I was like, "Yeah, I didn't either."
Well, I mean, and I'm not saying that, Blake. Like, I know you're a good player, and I've played at some tournaments. I haven't had the pleasure of playing against you, I don't think, but I've played at a lot of tournaments with you there. But when I'm keeping up with it because I couldn't go. I had a family emergency, but I was looking at and when I saw you lost the Knights, I was like, what? Like, I just didn't picture that because I mean, his list. I mean, it's tough. Knights are always tough. I think. I think
Yeah.
you either have something that can wipe it off the board, or you have something that's hard to play. And I feel like Mark's list is pretty balanced in being able to take
It's
out
pretty
Knights.
balanced. If I was on layout 1, I would have had more staging areas. Layout
Yep.
4, everything's out in the open. It's just
Did,
like I've got nowhere to hide.
were you running the Centurions?
Yeah, they
Okay.
did work. They did work.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a hell of a win, Blake. Like right on, dude. And then you went into David Penfold. I played him at Richmond Omen with his demons list, and he actually had a pretty decent demon list. I think the only reason I beat him is he failed to charge with Bellacore. Um, Walk us through that game a little bit. I mean, he has some tools to take out your knights, but it looks like you got a 95 to 77 win over that.
So usually against like index demons, I'll move my whole army in like with a 6-inch bubble to where they all are within 6 inches of each other, and then I'll put Canis Rex in the middle of them to where he can never 6-inch Canis. And he dropped down Rodigus and the Great Unclean One on my expansion objective turn 1. So my turn 2, I was able to pick up Rodigus and half of the Great Unclean One. And then each turn, it was essentially I would just like he failed a 6-inch charge with his Corn Demon guy, whatever that one's called. Not Bellacore, but yeah. And so he just died to shooting. At the end of the game, it was close. He chose to try to kill Canis instead of score one of his objectives, and then with the Feel No Pains, Canis ended up living on like 3 wounds, and then killed Bellacore in return. So,
And that gave you the win.
yep.
And then you podium like that. That's just impressive. I want to reiterate the fact that I don't think you realize how amazing that is that you've been playing less than a year and you're taking it and on the East Coast with like the top players in the country. How many games a week are you getting in for practice, or are you just like Goodwill Hunting over here and you're just like really good at 40K?
No, I've been playing. I just started recently playing on TTS, and then I try to play like once a week.
Yeah, I think TTS coming out. I need to start getting on that. Right now, I'm in paint mode for these new World Eaters, but I do feel like having been someone that's played over 20 years, I think TTS is definitely an awesome tool that a lot of players should get used to doing. I know playing on the tabletop is different, but once you play on TTS, you can kind of at least play your list out. Like, yeah, it's gonna play a little different, but you can learn the mechanics. Like, I know my biggest thing is just forgetting stuff, and when you play enough games in repetition, it does that. But hey,
Yeah.
man, great win. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yep. Um, so I'll go ahead and get into my RTT. If you need to leave, Blake, I completely understand. If you want to hang out, you can. Um,
Yep.
but it won't take me long. So I went to an RTT at Fenris, in near Hagerstown, Maryland, because I couldn't make the event. The GT, I wanted to be able to play in a RTT, and there's a mix of new players and pretty good players there. But I took the new World Eaters because that is my new jam. I'm excited for them. Not that I had anything against the Ultramarines I was playing. I was playing Mark's similar list to Mark's. Well, he was playing a similar list to mine, since you know. But anyways, um, and I kind of got bored with them. But anyways, I was running a Demon Prince with the Helm. Gives them -1 damage. Karn with 10 Berserkers. They hit pretty hard. 2 Slaughterbounds, one with the Berserker Glaive, and then one with the Favorite Corn. Allows me to reroll Blesses. The Berserker Glaive gives me 3 damage. A Rhino for Karna's boys. 2 Chaos Spawns, which I'm painting up now over here. 3 units of 8 bound. 2 Forge Fiends. 2 Hellbrutes, which did some work. It was crazy how good it worked, and then a unit of Jackals. So I went 3-0. I'll just briefly go over my games real quick. So my first game, which actually against a really good player, PJ Brady. He goes to a lot of major tournaments. He plays Space Marines. He's playing Gladius Strike Force, typical one you see, combi weapon, Calgar. Calgar. He was running his Calgar with heavy intercessors though, not the company here's. I don't even think I got into combat with him because I think he conceded. He conceded pretty quick. And I'll explain why. Not that he was a bad player. I think he underestimated Hellbrutes. He was running a Reaper, which I was actually scared of, because turns out they take Wardies off the board. 2 Vindicators and a Hammer Strike Infiltrator squad. So, um, I deployed the same way every turn. Um, I had Demon Prince on the middle with Lone Op. I had a Forge Fiend watching that, and then I had another Forge Fiend on the side. I kept both my Hellbrutes in reserve, and then Spawn kind of went up to take the objectives early. I think turn 1 he killed one of the spawns off the objective. I popped the strat to sticky it, so he had to come forward. It was not Purge the Foe, but Scorched Earth. And he he was doing some good work to me, and then the Hellbrute came in. And the Hellbrute with the hammer came in. He had rapid ingress. My turn, turn 2, I believe. I can pull up I should have had this ready already, but I had all of Blake's stuff up. Yeah, so I don't know why it won't tell me who went first, but did he go first? Yeah, so he went first. So he moved all his stuff up. So the top of my turn 2, I charged I charged into his little unit on the side, and I killed a Vindicator. Then I consolidated into the Reaper, killed the Reaper. For guys that don't know what Hellbrutes do, every time they get attacked, they get to attack back. So Reaper attacks me back. I killed the Reaper. I pile into his Hammer Strike, kill that, and then I piled in his Infiltrators and killed them. And then the Hellbrute had nothing left to do. And at that point, PJ looked at me and said, "You just won the game off of that." And I was like, bro, I didn't realize, like, on paper these things look good, but this is ridiculous. I didn't even get to bring my other halberd in because I had already killed another Vindicator with Karn and the boys. He charged. Berserkers kill anything, but once they do, Berserkers probably take down your Big Knight, your Rex, to be honest. But once they do, they're done. I mean, they're squishy. But that game just ended. So then round 2, I went into Josh's Emperor's Children. He was running similar list to you, Davis, but he was running Fulgrim. Um, I was actually scared of this list because I think Emperor's Children are tough. But I did luck out. My turn 1, I had secure no man's land area denial, so there's 10 points right there. And then my second one, I had overwhelming force and mark for death. And he had marked a unit that I did manage to kill. I went after it. So I got 20 points in secondaries in the first 2 rounds. I ended up beating him 78-63, super close game. The secondary game is definitely what won that for me. But and I don't think he did anything wrong. It was just I made some good saves. The Hellbrute again did.
I want to be heard.
You want to be heard?
Be
I
heard.
want to be heard.
You wanna be heard?
Fulgrim's bad.
Fulgrim's bad. I did manage to
Fulgrim
kill
is bad.
him. I think he got my Demon Prince down to 1 wound, and then I think I killed him with a Forge Fiend. I think I brought everything back and killed him. But I mean, I don't think he's bad. The poison thing was kind of cool, or cute, but it didn't really do it. So I managed to win that.
He's like 100 points overcosted.
Yeah. I think had he played your list, it would have been a lot tougher. But my Scourge Hellbrute came in and killed some Infractors and stuff. But my Hammer Hellbrute came in and killed a couple Rhinos. I charged his noise Marine guys, and then I finished off with his Infractors or Tormentors or whatever, the ones that don't hit as hard. And it was the same thing. I killed 4 units in one turn with one guy. Then my last game was against Joseph with Grey Knights. He was running a bunch of the baby carriers, but he was running who's the guy that does all the mortal wounds? Is that Drago?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
The
think
librarian.
I think it was Drago. Where you roll, if you roll I don't know. He did he got my Demon
That's
Prince.
Librarian, Brotherhood Librarian.
Okay, well he got my Demon Prince down to 1 wound with one guy. I was like, oh crap, like this is good. And he played. I don't think he was aggressive enough, but then once he started playing, he was coming in with knights left and right. I left a little space for one of his knights to get close to my backfield. I didn't measure correctly. Then he started getting close to my jackals. This one was the second game was Purge the Foe, and I think that's why I had a good chance and he killed a lot of units, but I did too. This game was taking hold, and then this was the only game I brought both Hellbrutes in on one turn. One charged a Big Knight, or the Dread Knight, and another unit of something killed it, and then the Scourge guy came up, made a 9-inch charge, and then killed 2 units of Purifiers, 3 units of Purifiers, or the Terminator guys, or whatever. I can't remember. And I knocked out an 84-32 win against him. I've been learning how to play the primary game pretty well. But that was my RTT experience with the New Warriors. I was kind of excited because it's been a while since I won an RTT, and I talked myself into getting into this army because I think they look cool. Not a lot of people were playing them. But yeah, that was my RTT win, just in a nutshell. Next time, I will do a better job at taking pictures and remembering the games because I did not expect to win this thing. But I was just excited to talk about it because I know I talk about it here how I am a mediocre player, but maybe I am getting better. I'm not a year into the game, Goodwill Hunting from Boston. How about them apples? Blake Sawyer that just takes down GTs after playing for less than a year. But hopefully, I have a GT win in my future. Other than that, upcoming events. So we did just have Your Hobby Place one. The next big event, I think you're going to Atlantic City Open, Mark, which is Father's Day weekend. I can't go to that one. And then I think the next big one's the Heart of War in July.
Yeah, I think so.
In July. Yeah, I think Davis, Mark, and I are all going to that. Are you going to that one, Blake? Heart of War up in Maryland?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay, yeah, it's up in Westminster. It's at the Old Tables and Tires at Bazooka Games. It's a good tournament. It's a golden ticket event. So if you win that, you do get I don't know if you already have a golden ticket or not. but
I do not.
okay, yeah, it's a golden ticket event and a Nova event. But yeah, other than that, thanks for joining us, Blake. We appreciate it. Congratulations on your win. Hopefully you continue on that path of just being a great player. And we'll see you at the next one. And Davis, hopefully you get those Emperor Children painting soon, and we'll get a game soon. And Mark, I will see you probably Heart of War, unless you're going to the Battlegrounds RTT next weekend.
Not that one.
Okay, I'll see you.
I'll be there.
All right,
All right, let's
all right,
Blake
yeah,
then.
I'm gonna beat Blake. I'm gonna win a GT. We're gonna talk about that, or an RTT and talk about that. I'll see you at the. Yeah, I'm driving down from Pennsylvania to that one, so I'll see you there. But yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks. See y'all next time.
All right.
Yep.
All right, bud.